We're starting off 2026 with a disclaimer. The video that you watched prior to the report this week, just now, I didn't shoot that this week. I've got to be honest with you. That's going to be one of my new policies for 2026. I'm going to be honest with you. So the videos might be a lot shorter and they might be a lot fewer and farther between. But anyhow, that video was shot, I'd say a month or so ago when we had some fish biting out here. Fishing has been tough. So if you are sitting at home thinking, geez, I got to get out there on the Delta, I got to catch some of those fish that Steve's catching, it ain't happening. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's get into some news and information. We've got a couple of the local youth bass clubs that are having their annual fundraisers. The Delta Saints are having their 5th annual wild game feed. That's going to be January 14th. They're going to have the feed, the raffle, and the auction. That's going to be at Hussock's, located in Clarksburg, which is, I'll say, South Sacramento. We'll call it South Sacramento. Great feed. You go out there, you get to meet the kids, and you get to support local youth angling. So that is Delta Saints out at Hussock's, January 14th. Also, we have the San Joaquin Bassmasters Spaghetti Feed Dinner and Raffle. That's going to be Friday, January 23rd. I've got the flyers up. I plan on being at both of those, so if you stop by, make sure you say hi and we can chat a little bit. Next thing we have is the Bass Hole New Year Sale. That's going to be this Saturday, January 3rd. This Saturday, January 3rd, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Going to have some great sales items out there. I will be out there all day, and I'm looking forward to meeting up with a lot of you folks that are maybe out that way that I don't get to see as much as I do here at Paradise Point and Lads and places like that. So come on out to the Bass Hole this Saturday. Say hi, take a look at some of the sales. We also have the ISE show coming up, the International Sportsman's Exposition in Sacramento. That's going to be January 15th through 18th. I'm still confirming where I'm going to be, but more than likely I will be at the Fisherman's Warehouse booth. So again, if you're at the ISE show, hopefully I'll be there all 4 days. You can come out and say hi. We did have a Crappie Closet had a crappie tournament up at Clear Lake. That was going to be this Saturday. I just got some late breaking information from Marlin. He has had to cancel that tournament due to weather. So that if you were planning on going to the Crappie Closet tournament this weekend up at Clear Lake, crappie tournament, that has been canceled. So just remember that. Get a hold of Marlin, and he'll set you up, let you know what he's thinking about when he needs to reschedule that. Also, there's going to be a one bass tournament up at Clear Lake, a Pro-Am, January 8th through 10th. Now, I want to say one thing about that one bass Pro-Am tournament, especially for the guys that are or think about go up there and signing up as an amateur. I think the one bass format is great because they have what they call shared weights. So if you go up as an amateur, you're paired up with a pro. Whether you catch a fish or whether you catch 5 fish or whether the pro catches 5 fish, whatever, it's shared weight. 5 fish, shared weight. So maybe you think, geez, I'm just not that good. I don't think I can put it, I don't think I can help anybody, put fish in the boat or whatever it may be. You can go up there, you get paired up with John Pearl. You're up at Clear Lake. John Pearl catches 35 fish and gets a 35-pound bag, and you can't seem to catch a fish. Guess what? You win the tournament. It's shared weight. You get to collect the prize. You get to watch John catch all his fish and maybe ask him a few questions. So it is a good format, especially for the amateurs. Let's get right into the lake reports and the Delta. And I will say this. Everything that we talk about, and some of the lakes have been fair to good. The next week, we're going to have weather conditions that are all over the board. We're going to have light rain. We're going to have moderate rain. Sounds like we're going to have heavy rain in some areas. We're going to have wind. We're going to have storm fronts coming in and out. So it's not only important choosing where you're at, what body of water that you're on, but the day that you're there. And I will just say this. As we speak today and you get an idea of you want to go up down to Don Pedro, up to Maloney's or wherever we're talking about, call and get some local information, especially when it comes to the weather. And I know all of us are kind of bound this time of year. We have a lot going on, and we have, families, we have jobs. I'm retired. I can't go every day. I can't go out fishing every day that I want to go out. But I can tell you this, if you can plan your days, plan to be out in front of the storms before the storm before it hits. Obviously not many of us are fishing through the storm, but the last couple trips that I have planned, especially here on the Delta, has been post front, and they have been absolutely difficult. Why have I been out post front? Because, like I said, we all have obligations. I couldn't get out before the storm. I got out after the storm. So if you can plan the day that you're going to go out, plan to be there post front, or excuse me, before the front, pre-front. Leave those bluebird days after the storm passes to get other things caught up on. Just a little word there. So Clear Lake is improving, and it's actually been good. I talked to Dave out at Clear Lake Outdoors, and remember, I'll have his information if you want to call Clear Lake in my remarks. They're starting to see more and more 30-pound bags come in. The fish are still chasing shad. A-rigs are doing well. Swim baits, minnow imitations. You're fishing forward-facing sonar. You're going to get some nice fish with any type of minnow imitation that you're using. And Dave said, really, if you have the opportunity, make sure you're fishing between, I'll say, 1 and 4 o'clock. The afternoons have been much better than the mornings. So that's Clear Lake report. I've got a report from Oroville. And I have been in contact with Joe from Bass Union. I think Joe is going to be start to send reports here in the next, hopefully, couple weeks after we get everything situated after the ISE show and everything. We're going to have Joe on, and he'll be giving us some reports, up-to-date reports on Clear Lake. But I have been getting some reports from Bill, who is a kayak angler up there. He's been up at Clear Lake about 4 times in the last 10 days, and he's consistently getting 10 to 12 pound limits and catching multiple fish. I've got some pictures of some of the fish that Bill's been getting up there, and I'll flash a picture up to show you exactly what he has been catching them on. He sent a picture of the baits that he has been using. So Bill, I want to thank you for sending those reports. And for those of you who are up around Oroville might be a pretty good place to get up and start fishing. Don Pedro, all I can say about Don Pedro is it's probably fair. Most days are very much hit and miss. With that being said, they had a local tournament up there, I don't know what club it is, club tournament. 12 pounds won the tournament, and from there it went downhill. The word that I got, it was pretty tough fishing for everybody up there. Now I know Christian Ostrander, he was up just a couple days ago, prefrontal, and he did really well up there. Well, really well, 15, 18 pounds. He had a couple clients up there. I'll flash a few pictures up there. He had some nice fish. Fish are moving around. The fish, I was out with Christian a week or so ago, and he had some spots that he was pretty confident that the fish were there. We went there, we caught fish. The fish that Christian and I were fishing for 10 days ago were gone. He had to find a whole new set of fish. They were harder to find. I got a few fish with forward-facing sonar. They caught some fish on worms, and I think they caught a few fish on jigs. So he's having to move a lot more. He's having to kind of junk fish, find what the fish are biting on, so on and so forth. So all in all, Don Pedro, we're going to just say is fair. If you hit the right day, it can be fair to good. With that, we've covered Clear Lake, we've covered Oroville, we've covered Don Pedro. Let's talk about the Delta. And number one, there has not been a lot of people out on the Delta. The last couple times I've been out, I've seen 1 or 2 boats, and just not a lot of people out there, not getting a lot of reports. I want to absolutely thank the folks that are sending in the reports that don't mind eating a little crow and aren't worried about their ego, saying, hey, I went out and I really had a tough day, caught 1 fish, caught 2 fish, because that's what it is. It's not about I think most of us out here fishing the Delta, knowing what the Delta can be in the winter, we're just trying to survive out here, trying to get out. We love to fish. We like being out here, and if we catch a fish, that's a bonus. But I don't want to say we're trying to survive. Let's say if you're coming out this time of year on the Delta, you're building character. That's what we're doing. We're building character. So we'll keep it out. Let's talk about river conditions. River's in great shape. Paradise Point out to Prisoner's Point, the channel, we're talking 2 to 3 feet of visibility. Water temperatures 50, low 50s to mid 50s. I have had a 48-degree reading, a 49-degree reading, but we're going to just call it low 50s. Everything looks good. There's not a lot of stuff in the water floating around, not a lot of debris. We're getting some good high outgo tides. I would definitely say if you can plan your day around having a high outgo tide in the afternoon, that's what you want to do. The water is it's not chocolate, but it has a brown tinge. Usually, a month ago we're talking about you had 3 feet of visibility with a greenish tinge. Now we have that same 3 feet of visibility, but it's kind of a brownish tinge. And that makes a little difference on what colors you're going to use. But it doesn't specifically help or hurt the fishing. With that being said, the stripers out here have been, I'm not saying they're non-existent. There's just not a lot of people fishing for them. I'm getting a few reports from guys that are still way out west. When they're out there, they're catching stripers. A lot of the striper guys have been fishing sturgeon. I know the sturgeon are sturgeon anglers are having a pretty good time, but I'm sure a lot of you guys out there aren't going to pick up your bass stuff and go out there and fish for sturgeon. I was out Tuesday. One boat was in. There's only one other boat out. They were striper fishing. They came in, 3 guys in the boat. They had two stripers drifting live bait. One of them was 27 inches, fished for about a half a day, and they reported to me that they had been out on their previous trip and got about a week prior to that. They got a limit, and I know I saw them catch one of the fish. They were right here in Disappointment Slough. They're not running around a whole lot, so the fish are still here. If you get a chance to come out, you have a chance to catch some stripers, but just not a lot of reports coming in. These guys were fishing live bait that they had bought, live minnows. The bluegill are getting tougher and tougher to catch out here. I know that I keep getting occasional pictures of these great big bluegill guys, a pound and a quarter. For some reason, this is a good year for trophy bluegill, but we're kind of a little bit past that right now. So the bluegill fishing is getting tough. It's getting tougher to find the bait out here if you want to catch live bait, but if you can, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be drifting live bait out here. All right, so that, and by the way, Christian was out here with he was with my friend David. I think it was, might have been Tuesday, which was post front. They were down south. Christian had a pretty good day. I think they had about 15 pounds, caught some nice bass, and they caught a couple of nice stripers. Christian did report that the water clarity down south was not quite 2 to 3 feet, so I'm figuring he'd probably 1 or 2 foot viz down there. I asked, Christian and I are planning a trip maybe next week. He's going to be going up to Clear Lake, so I might head up to Clear Lake with Christian and do a little fishing up there. But I had asked him, if maybe we ought to plan a trip, the Delta, before we go down there. And Christian was saying, I don't think so. He had even though he had a pretty good day, that we just talked about, he had to really struggle for those fish. David's a good fisherman. 2 good fishermen out there, 15 pounds, couple stripers, but they found all of their fish in one little area, and if it wasn't for that, he would have said they would have really struggled. So Christian is heading up to Clear Lake, seeing what he can do up there. He's going to be fishing that one bass tournament. Let's talk about the largemouth bass. And I have been getting a few reports out here. Everybody is just putting one foot in front of the other. The fish are not on a great bite. Nathan and I were out Tuesday, I think that Tuesday post front. We fished about 4 hours. We had our standard 4 bites, but out of the 4 bites that we had, and we pretty much know that all 4 of those bites were bass. We saw a couple of them come up and whack at a jerkbait. We didn't land one fish, which is telling me that, number one, the fish really weren't biting, but the ones that we could get to come up and grab something, they just weren't inhaling it. We had a couple fish come up for jerkbaits. We had a couple fish come up for worms and just give it that peck. They're just not, they just weren't eating aggressively. That's really all I have to say, other than I did talk to Joey Price from Priceless Fishing to see if Joey had been out. He's taken a little bit of a break out here. And I said, well, Joe, when are you going to start fishing the river again? He says, probably towards the end of January. He's going to get out. He'll start moving around. When he comes out, he said he's going to be really focusing with spinner baits, chatter baits. Oh, and by the way, Christian caught all of his stripers. Christian and David caught their stripers and bass on chatterbaits if you come out here. That's one bait that I haven't been throwing that I probably should have been throwing. But anyhow, back to Joey Price. He's going to start off with drop shot, jigs, spinner baits, and chatterbaits. And I think that's probably what I'm going to stick with to see if I can get a fish or two out here before the end of January. And like I said, if you come out here, lower your expectations, at least for the Delta. If you hit the right day, and I'm hoping that I hit the right day at least once in the next few trips, that I can come out, maybe put together a limit and have some fun and get my rod bin out here. But again, it's more character builder than anything. So I'll leave you with that. Hopefully I'll see you guys out at the Bass Hole this Saturday for the sale and meet and greet, whatever you want to call it. We'll see you out there. Remember, 2026 is here. Be safe. I know this past year with the golden mussels and the lakes, shutting down, and as far as angling, we've had a fairly, I'm not going to say a tough year, but a lot to deal with. A lot of us have been complaining. Think about it this way. We got a new year. Let's think about having fun out here, catching a few fish, enjoying our families, and just be thankful for what we have. So with that, that's my New Year's resolution, and I'm going to try not to lie as much as I did last year. With that, we'll see you guys out here on the river, probably not in the next few weeks, but when we do, make sure you stop and say hi. Until then, good luck. See you guys at the shows.